Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our session on BPCC 101, Introduction to Psychology. I'm excited to have you all here today. We'll be starting with Unit 2, which explores the nature and scope of psychology. This presentation is part of the Bachelor of Arts Honors in Psychology program, brought to you by Sapphire. During our time together, we'll dive into what psychology is, its different branches, and how it applies to our everyday lives. So, let's get started and explore the fascinating world of psychology. Understanding the breadth and interdisciplinary nature of psychology is essential to appreciating its role as a science. Psychology, at its core, is the scientific study of human and animal behavior, particularly how it relates to their environment and other individuals. It aims to observe, describe, and explain behavior, along with the mental processes, such as thoughts, feelings, and motives, that drive that behavior. Building on what we learned in the previous unit, this part of the course emphasizes how psychology connects with other sciences, highlighting its broad scope and the various subfields that have emerged over time. These subfields enable us to apply psychological principles across different areas like education, health, industry, and community life, ultimately helping us improve overall well-being. Now, just like other sciences, psychology has evolved through both basic and applied branches. The basic branch focuses on fundamental principles, things like learning, memory, and emotion, that form the foundation of our understanding. On the other hand, the applied branch takes this knowledge and uses it to address real-world problems in settings such as clinics, schools, or organizations. So, in essence, psychology's interdisciplinary nature and its diverse branches allow us to better understand human behavior and apply this understanding in practical, impactful ways across many areas of our lives. Let's take a closer look at the breadth and interdisciplinary nature of psychology. Psychology is not a standalone science. It's deeply connected to other fields like biology, physiology, medicine, and sociology. These connections help us understand human behavior from multiple angles. For example, recent advances in genetics, neurology, and cybernetics have given us deeper insights into how our brains work and why we act the way we do. At the same time, psychology has influenced areas like management, economics, and anthropology, showing how interconnected and collaborative this discipline truly is. Now, the purpose of this unit is to help you recognize that psychology is grounded in scientific principles. You'll also get to explore its various subfields and practical applications, which are quite diverse. Additionally, we'll look at how psychology has developed in India, blending traditional wisdom with modern science to create a rich, evolving field. In summary, psychology is a dynamic and scientific discipline that cuts across many fields. Its main goal is to understand and improve human life through research and practical application. This interconnected approach makes psychology a truly fascinating and ever-evolving area of study. Today, we will explore the key learning goals of the nature and scope of psychology. First, we'll look at how psychology relates to other sciences. It's important to understand how psychology connects with biological, physical, medical, and social sciences, because these relationships help us gain a deeper understanding of human behavior. Next, we'll explain the early divisions of psychology. This includes identifying the basic experimental branches and non-experimental branches, and seeing how they laid the groundwork for the various modern subfields we study today. Then, we'll describe the different subfields of psychology. You'll learn about areas like biopsychology, cognitive, social, clinical, educational, and industrial psychology, and see how each of these specializations serves a specific purpose and has real-world applications. Moving forward, we'll recognize the interdisciplinary scope of psychology. It's a discipline that borrows methods and insights from other fields, while also contributing back to areas like sociology, management, and medicine. We'll also discuss the growth of psychology in India. This includes understanding its historical development, from the philosophical roots in Vedic and yogic traditions to its modern, scientific form influenced by Western thought. Finally, we will develop an integrated view of psychology. This means appreciating it as a broad, evolving discipline that combines research and practical application to promote mental health, learning, and overall human welfare. By the end of this unit, you will be able to clearly explain the scope, divisions, and applications of psychology, and understand its interdisciplinary nature and relevance, especially within the Indian context. Now, in this slide, we're extending our understanding of psychology as a scientific discipline. Previously, in Unit 1, we looked at psychology as the scientific study of behavior and mental processes. Here, we're building on that foundation to see how psychology is a broad and evolving field. It's not just about individual minds anymore. It also explores its connections with other sciences like biology, medicine, and sociology. We'll also examine how psychology was initially divided, moving from experimental branches, which focus on scientific testing, to non-experimental areas like clinical or counseling psychology. Over time, various subfields have emerged as the discipline grew and diversified. Another important point is the growth of psychology in India, which has deep roots in traditional philosophy, but has also embraced modern scientific methods. This blend shows how the discipline is dynamic and culturally rich. Finally, psychology today is a multidimensional science. It's not limited to understanding just the individual, but extends to social, cultural, environmental, and organizational contexts. It investigates how people interact, adapt, and respond to the ever-changing world around them. This broader perspective helps us appreciate the complexity and relevance of psychology in everyday life. Welcome to this part of our presentation, where we explore how psychology extends beyond just its own boundaries to become a truly scientific discipline. When we talk about psychology as an interdisciplinary perspective, we're highlighting how it shares strong connections with natural, biological, and social sciences. This integration allows us to gain a much deeper understanding of human nature and social existence. By blending insights from these various fields, psychology becomes a powerful tool for addressing complex global challenges. Whether it's improving health, advancing education, protecting the environment, or harnessing technology, psychology plays a crucial role. Now, why is studying this unit important? Well, by delving into it, you'll develop a comprehensive understanding of psychology's broad scope and practical applications. It helps us see how psychology is not just about theories, but also about their relevance in our modern, culturally diverse world. To sum up, this unit emphasizes that psychology is a dynamic and interdisciplinary science. It connects theory with real-world applications, enabling us to understand, predict, and ultimately improve human behavior across many different settings. This interconnected approach truly enriches our grasp of what psychology is all about. Let's talk about psychology as a behavioral science and how it relates to other sciences. Psychology shares many characteristics with physical, biological, and social sciences. Just like these disciplines, it relies on systematic observation, experimentation, and measurement to understand human behavior. The main goal here is to apply this scientific knowledge to improve our lives, help prevent behavioral problems, and promote psychological well-being. Now, moving on to the principle of transactionalism. Many real-world issues, such as climate change, pollution, and natural disasters, actually require collaboration across different scientific fields. This idea of interconnected disciplines is called transactionalism, a concept introduced by Rush in 1972. Psychology plays an important role in these efforts because it provides insights into human motivation, how we adapt, and how we make decisions. These insights complement physical and biological research, helping us see the bigger picture. So, in the context of this presentation, understanding psychology's relationship with other sciences highlights its importance in solving complex, real-world problems through collaborative, interdisciplinary approaches. Now, let's explore how psychology relates to other scientific fields. Psychology is deeply interconnected with various sciences, and these relationships help us understand human behavior more comprehensively. For example, biological sciences like genetics, physiology, neurology, and medicine are crucial because they help us explore the biological basis of behavior, such as how the brain, hormones, and heredity influence how we act. Moving to physical sciences, Advances in physics and chemistry have actually inspired psychological methods of experimentation, measurement, and data analysis. This cross-pollination of ideas has really strengthened our research techniques. In the medical sciences, psychology plays a supportive role by contributing to health psychology, psychosomatic studies, and the treatment of emotional disorders. This highlights how psychological insights can improve overall health and well-being. Psychology also overlaps significantly with social sciences like sociology, anthropology, economics, and political science. These connections help explain how individuals behave within social, cultural, and economic contexts, giving us a broader perspective on human behavior. Now, it's important to recognize that these sciences don't develop in isolation. They influence each other mutually. The growth of psychology has been shaped by advances in natural and biological sciences, and in turn, psychology has influenced fields like education, management, communication, and economics. You might think of areas like organizational psychology or educational testing, which are practical applications born from this interdisciplinary collaboration. So, in summary, psychology is fundamentally an interdisciplinary and cooperative science. It draws from biology, medicine, and social sciences, and its scientific methods and insights into human behavior are vital for tackling complex problems that cross multiple fields. This interconnectedness is what makes psychology so dynamic and essential in understanding and improving our world. Today, we will explore the nature and scope of psychology. Psychology is essentially the scientific study of human behavior. It looks at how our behavior relates to the environment and other people around us. The goal is to understand the causes behind why we think, feel, and act in certain ways in specific situations. By observing, analyzing, and learning from behavior, psychologists can identify why certain behaviors happen and how they can be changed or improved. Now, like other sciences, psychology has two main divisions. The first is the basic or academic branch. This part is driven by curiosity and the desire to understand fundamental mental processes such as perception, emotion, and memory. For example, just as Newton's curiosity about why an apple falls led to the theory of gravity, psychologists explore these core processes to build a foundation of knowledge. The second division is the applied branch. This is where psychological knowledge is used to solve real-world problems in areas like health, education, industry, and society. Although these two branches are distinct, they are closely linked. Applied psychology often relies on discoveries made through basic research, and together, they help us better understand human behavior and improve lives. Now, let's explore the broad classifications of psychology as outlined by Parameswaran and Bina in 1988. First, we have general psychology, which studies the common and universal aspects of human behavior. It focuses on how normal human functioning occurs, helping us understand everyday mental processes. Then, there's differential psychology, which looks at individual differences, variations in ability, personality, intelligence, and emotional responses. These areas are fundamental because they serve as the foundation for modern branches like personality psychology, educational psychology, and social psychology. Moving on, let's consider the nature of psychological study. Psychology investigates both the similarities and differences in human behavior. It's not just about understanding what people do, but also why they act differently even under similar conditions. This makes psychology a dynamic and evolving discipline, constantly expanding through research and interdisciplinary collaboration. Now, regarding its scope, psychology now covers a wide range of domains. It plays a vital role in clinical and counseling settings, focusing on mental health and personal well-being. It's also essential in educational environments, helping us understand learning processes, motivation, and development. In organizational and industrial contexts, psychology helps improve leadership, teamwork, and productivity. Additionally, it contributes to social and community welfare by addressing social change, adaptation, and inclusion. All these applications make psychology a universal and practical science that influences every aspect of human life. To summarize, the scope of psychology encompasses both the theoretical understanding of behavior and its practical applications. It bridges scientific inquiry with human experience, ultimately helping us explain and improve how individuals and societies function. Now, let's look at the early divisions of psychology. Like other sciences, psychology started by categorizing its studies into two main branches: basic or experimental and non-experimental. These early divisions laid the groundwork for how we approach psychological research and applications today. The goal of both was to understand human behavior systematically, although they focused on different aspects and used different methods. One key branch is experimental psychology. This area is primarily concerned with conducting basic research to explore fundamental processes such as learning and memory, sensation and perception, and thinking, motivation and emotion. Experimental psychology relies on controlled experiments, which help us understand cause and effect relationships in behavior. For example, it looks at how individuals acquire new responses, modify existing ones, or retain information. A practical example is studying how our sensory systems work to help us perceive and interpret the world around us. The insights gained from experimental psychology often become the foundation for applied fields like education and therapy, making this division crucial for advancing both theory and practice in psychology. Now, let's look at the early divisions of psychology, specifically non-experimental psychology. This branch focuses on observing and understanding human behavior without the strict control of a laboratory setting. It tends to be more descriptive and interpretive, helping us explore areas like personality processes, social interactions, and developmental changes that occur across the lifespan. Within this category, you'll find subfields such as child and adolescent psychology, gerontology, which studies aging, and applied social psychology. These areas are crucial because they help us understand how individuals differ, how they adapt, and how they interact within different social and cultural contexts. It's important to see how non-experimental psychology complements experimental methods. While experiments provide us with data and validation, solid evidence, non-experimental approaches give us the broader context and real-world application. Many theories we use today, like those related to work motivation or personality development, actually originated from basic experimental research. So these two branches are interconnected. They work together to give us a fuller understanding of human behavior, blending scientific rigor with practical insights. Now, let's talk about the significance of these early divisions in psychology. These divisions played a crucial role in helping psychology establish itself as both a theoretical and an applied science. They provided a clear framework that guided research and practice, which was essential for the field's growth. By separating experimental psychology from non-experimental approaches, psychologists could focus on different methods and goals, leading to the development of many specialized subfields. For example, educational psychology, industrial psychology, and social psychology all emerged from these foundational divisions. To sum up, the early divisions, experimental and non-experimental psychology, laid the groundwork for the diverse disciplines we see today. They really highlight how psychology is both a science of research and a science of human application, connecting theory with real-world practice. Now, let's take a closer look at the major scientific branches of psychology. First, we have biopsychology, also known as physiological psychology. This branch studies the biological bases of our behavior and mental processes. It focuses on understanding how the brain, nervous system, hormones, and genetics influence our emotions, thoughts, and actions. For example, it examines how chemical and neural processes affect things like memory, motivation, and learning. This helps us see how physical health and mental functioning are interconnected, which is a really important insight into human behavior. Next, we have cognitive psychology. This area investigates how we process information through perception, attention, memory, reasoning, language, and problem-solving. Essentially, it's about understanding how we acquire, interpret, and use information in our daily lives. This branch explains many aspects of human thought and decision-making, like how we learn new concepts or recall past experiences. Its applications are vast, impacting education, artificial intelligence, and therapy, making it highly relevant to many fields. Finally, there's comparative psychology. This branch studies the behavior of animals to better understand ourselves. By comparing how different species behave, we can identify evolutionary and adaptive similarities in learning, motivation, and emotion. The key idea here is that studying animals can reveal fundamental biological and behavioral principles that also apply to humans. Many findings from comparative psychology have influenced advances in neuroscience and behavioral genetics, helping us understand the roots of behavior across species. Now, let's explore some of the subfields of psychology that help us understand the complexity of human behavior. First, we have cultural psychology. This area focuses on how culture, tradition, and social values shape our thoughts, emotions, and actions. It studies cross-cultural differences in development, personality, and learning, which explains why behaviors that seem normal in one society might be quite different in another. Essentially, it highlights the interaction between our individual psychology and the cultural environment we grow up in. Next, there's experimental psychology. This subfield is all about conducting laboratory research to test hypotheses about both human and animal behavior. It covers topics like reaction time, attention, learning, and motivation. The key point here is that experimental psychology helps establish scientific principles that underpin other applied areas of psychology. It ensures that our understanding of behavior is grounded in empirical, testable science, which is fundamental for the credibility of the entire field. Finally, we have gender psychology. This area investigates the psychological similarities and differences between men and women. It looks at how biological sex and social gender roles influence our behavior, attitudes, and sense of identity. An important goal of gender psychology is to eliminate gender bias in research and promote equality, helping us better understand human potential across all genders. All these subfields enrich our overall understanding of psychology by emphasizing different perspectives, and together they contribute to a comprehensive view of human behavior. Now, let's take a closer look at some of the important subfields of psychology. First, we have cultural psychology. This area examines how our culture, traditions, and social values shape the way we think, feel, and act. It studies the differences across cultures in areas like development, personality, and learning, helping us understand why behaviors that seem normal in one society might be quite different in another. Essentially, it highlights the interaction between our individual psychology and the cultural environment around us. Next, we have experimental psychology. This field is all about conducting laboratory research to test hypotheses about human and animal behavior. Researchers explore topics such as reaction time, attention, learning, and motivation. The goal here is to establish scientific principles that form the foundation for other applied areas of psychology. It keeps psychology grounded as an empirical science, based on observation and experiment. Finally, there's gender psychology. This subfield looks at the similarities and differences between men and women, both psychologically and behaviorally. It investigates how biological sex and social gender roles influence our attitudes, behaviors, and sense of identity. An important aim of gender psychology is to eliminate gender bias in research and promote a more equal understanding of human potential, regardless of gender. Together, these subfields help us appreciate the diverse ways psychology interacts with culture, science, and gender, enriching our overall understanding of human behavior. Let's explore some key subfields of psychology that help us understand human behavior more deeply. First, there's learning psychology. This area focuses on how learning actually happens and the principles that lead to behavioral change. It studies processes like conditioning, where behaviors are learned through association, reinforcement, which involves rewarding desired behaviors, imitation, and practice. These insights are crucial because they explain how we acquire new habits, skills, and knowledge. You'll find this applied in many areas like education, training programs, psychotherapy, and behavior modification efforts. making it very practical and impactful. Next, we have personality psychology. This field looks at what makes each person unique, our differences in behavior, emotions, and thought patterns. It aims to understand the structure and development of personality traits and how these traits influence behavior across different situations. Interestingly, it also seeks to answer why some people behave consistently no matter the context, while others vary their responses. The applications here include personality testing, counseling, and analyzing organizational behavior, helping us better understand ourselves and others. Finally, there's physiological psychology, which explores the biological basis of behavior. It studies how the brain, nervous system, and endocrine glands work together to regulate sensations, emotions, and perceptions. This subfield investigates important topics like sleep, motivation, stress responses, and psychophysiological disorders. Essentially, it provides the biological foundation for areas like neuropsychology and health psychology, helping us see how our physical processes influence our mental states and behaviors. Together, these subfields give us a comprehensive picture of the complex factors that shape human behavior, linking biological, psychological, and experiential aspects seamlessly. Now, let's take a closer look at the subfields of psychology covered in this slide. First, we have sensation and perception psychology. This area explores how humans receive sensory input, that is, how our sense organs gather information from the environment, and how we interpret that information to understand the world around us. It involves studying the functions of our senses, neural processing, and how we organize perceptual information. Research in this field includes visual and auditory perception, illusions, and depth perception, all of which help us understand how we make sense of complex sensory data. Importantly, these insights also contribute to practical fields like ergonomics and user experience or UX psychology, improving how products and environments are designed for human use. Moving on, we have comparative and developmental aspects. Comparative studies look at behavior across different species, helping us understand the evolutionary roots of our actions. Developmental perspectives, on the other hand, focus on how behavior and thinking change throughout a person's lifespan, from childhood through adolescence to old age. When combined, these approaches highlight that behavior is both evolutionary and developmental in nature, giving us a comprehensive view of how humans grow and adapt over time. Finally, we come to social psychology. This field examines how individual behavior is shaped by social environments and group dynamics. It covers important topics like attitudes, conformity, prejudice, leadership, persuasion, and group conflict. Essentially, it helps us understand how people interact, cooperate, or even compete within society. These insights are incredibly useful beyond academic study. They're applied in advertising, communication strategies, social policy, and community relations, all aimed at fostering better understanding and cooperation among people. By understanding these subfields, we get a clearer picture of how diverse and interconnected the study of psychology truly is, and how it helps us understand human behavior in all its complexity. Now, let's explore some important subfields of psychology. First, we have clinical psychology. This area primarily focuses on diagnosing, treating, and preventing emotional and behavioral disorders. It deals with issues like anxiety, depression, stress, and adjustment problems that many people face. Clinicians use a variety of methods such as psychotherapy, behavioral therapy, and psychological testing to help individuals improve their mental health. You'll often find clinical psychologists working in hospitals, clinics, schools, and rehabilitation centers, all dedicated to promoting overall mental well-being. Next, we have community psychology. This subfield is concerned with mental health and well-being at the community level. Unlike clinical psychology, which often targets individuals, community psychology emphasizes prevention, awareness, and empowerment. It involves creating programs for education, social welfare, and crisis intervention to build healthier, more supportive, and resilient communities. Essentially, it's about fostering environments that promote mental wellness on a broader scale. Finally, let's look at consumer psychology. This area studies how people make purchasing decisions and how marketing influences those choices. It explores factors like motivation, perception, personality, and cultural influences that shape consumer behavior. Understanding these elements helps businesses design effective advertising, branding, and sales strategies. Consumer psychology is widely applied in industries like business, marketing, and product design, helping companies connect better with their customers and meet their needs more effectively. By understanding these subfields, we see how psychology extends into various aspects of everyday life, from individual mental health to community well-being and consumer behavior. Now, let's explore some important subfields of psychology. First, we have counseling psychology. This area aims to help individuals with personal, emotional, academic, and vocational concerns. It's not just about treating mental illness, it's really about promoting healthy adjustment and personal growth. Counseling psychologists use tools like interviews, guidance, and psychotherapy to improve coping skills and self-understanding. They work in a variety of settings, including schools, corporate offices, and wellness centers, helping people navigate different challenges in their lives. Next, we have educational psychology. This field applies psychological principles to enhance teaching and learning processes. It studies how students learn, how teachers can improve their methods, and how motivation impacts academic achievement. Educational psychologists are also involved in developing curricula, managing classrooms effectively, and creating assessment tools. An important part of their work is identifying and supporting students with learning difficulties or special needs, ensuring that every learner has the opportunity to succeed. Finally, let's look at industrial or organizational psychology. This subfield focuses on human behavior in the workplace and the interaction between people and their work environments. It covers areas like selecting the right employees, training them effectively, and boosting motivation and job satisfaction. It also examines leadership, teamwork, and organizational culture. The goal here is to improve efficiency and productivity while promoting well-being in organizations. This area plays a vital role in human resource development and overall corporate management, helping organizations function more smoothly and effectively. Now, let's take a look at the subfields of psychology, starting with medical psychology. This area examines the psychological aspects of health and illness. It focuses on how our mental and physical states interact, exploring how our thoughts and emotions can influence recovery or the course of a disease. Medical psychologists also play a vital role in helping patients cope with chronic illnesses, pain, or the stress that comes with hospitalization. They work closely with doctors, nurses, and therapists to promote overall holistic health outcomes, emphasizing the interconnectedness of mind and body. Next, we have forensic psychology. This field applies psychological principles to legal matters, crime, and justice. It involves tasks like criminal profiling, providing expert testimony in court, lie detection, and aiding in the rehabilitation of offenders. Forensic psychologists help us understand criminal motivation, assess the reliability of witnesses, and analyze jury behavior. Their work ensures that legal processes are fair and grounded in scientific understanding, which is crucial for justice. Finally, we come to military psychology. This specialty looks at behavior and mental performance within armed forces and high-stress environments. It covers areas such as personnel selection, training, leadership development, and maintaining morale. Military psychologists also focus on stress management and helping personnel cope with trauma, combat-related stress, and the challenges of reintegration into civilian life. Their work is essential for national defense and emergency preparedness, ensuring that our armed forces are psychologically resilient and well-supported. Now, let's explore the subfield of ergonomics, also known as human factors psychology. This area focuses on designing tools, systems, and environments that align with human capabilities and limitations. The goal is to make workplaces and technology interfaces more comfortable, safer, and more efficient. You'll find ergonomics applied in various fields such as aviation, where safety is paramount, in product design to enhance usability, and in developing computer interfaces that are user-friendly. By understanding how humans interact with their environment, ergonomics helps create solutions that improve performance and reduce errors. Moving on, environmental psychology is another fascinating subfield. It investigates how humans interact with their physical surroundings, whether natural, social, or built environments. For example, it looks at how space, noise, crowding, architecture, and climate can influence our behavior, emotions, and productivity. This field aims to design environments that are sustainable, healthy, and comfortable, whether for living or working. Its principles are applied in urban planning, environmental conservation, and disaster management. Additionally, environmental psychology encourages us to develop pro-environmental attitudes and behaviors, helping us find a healthy balance between human needs and ecological health. Finally, let's consider sports psychology. This area applies psychological principles to boost athletic performance and motivation. It emphasizes mental training techniques such as confidence building, goal setting, concentration, and stress management. Sports psychology also addresses team cohesion, leadership, and how athletes handle competition pressure. Coaches and sports organizations utilize these insights to help athletes achieve peak performance and build emotional resilience, which is essential for success in competitive sports. Together, these subfields highlight how psychology extends beyond the traditional understanding of the mind, actively shaping various aspects of our interaction with the world around us. Let's explore how psychology's frontiers are expanding into new interdisciplinary areas. As psychology evolves, it's increasingly intersecting with fields like cyberpsychology, which looks at how digital environments and social media impact our behavior and mental health. Then we have positive psychology, focusing on understanding human strengths, happiness, and overall well-being. Additionally, there's a growing emphasis on health and environmental sustainability studies, which aim to promote a healthy balance between mental health and ecological awareness. These developments really highlight psychology's ability to adapt and stay relevant in a rapidly changing world, socially, technologically, and globally. Now, why are these emerging fields so practically important? Well, they help us address some of today's most pressing human problems, like digital addiction, climate anxiety, motivation issues, and building resilience. They're broadening the scope of psychology beyond traditional settings such as clinics and laboratories, allowing psychologists to contribute in areas like education, policymaking, sports, and even global well-being. In essence, these new fields are making psychology more versatile and impactful, helping us better understand and improve human life in diverse contexts. Let's explore the rich history of psychology in India, starting with its traditional roots. Ancient Indian thought actually contained deep psychological insights long before modern psychology emerged as a formal science. Philosophical systems such as Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism thoroughly analyzed human consciousness, motivation, and emotions. These systems offered profound perspectives on understanding the mind and behavior. Classical Indian texts like the Vedas, Upanishads, Bhagavad Gita, and Yoga Sutras of Patanjali discussed essential questions about the nature of the mind, the self, and how we behave. They emphasized concepts like self-realization, emotional control, and mental discipline, which form the foundation of Indian psychological thought even today. Yoga and meditation practices also played a crucial role by highlighting the unity of mind and body. They suggested that through awareness and disciplined practice, personal transformation is possible, which is a very holistic approach to understanding human psychology. Moving into more recent history, modern scientific psychology in India started developing in the early 20th century, influenced heavily by Western scientific methods. The establishment of the first psychology laboratory at Calcutta University in 1916, led by Dr. N.N. Sengupta, marked an important milestone. It was the beginning of institutional psychology in India. Following this, organizations like the Indian Psychological Association, founded in 1924, and the Indian Journal of Psychology, launched in 1925, played vital roles in promoting research, collaboration, and the growth of psychology as a discipline. After India gained independence, universities across the country began establishing dedicated departments of psychology and initiating independent research efforts. This period truly set the stage for the development of modern psychology in India, blending traditional insights with scientific inquiry and helping us understand the mind in a more structured way. Let's explore psychology in India, focusing on both traditional and modern perspectives. Indian psychologists have made significant contributions across various areas of research and application. For instance, they've studied perception, cognition, intelligence, and emotion, helping us understand how we process and respond to the world around us. They've also delved into personality, learning, and motivation, which are crucial for understanding human behavior. In clinical and counseling psychology, Indian researchers have developed approaches tailored to the cultural context, emphasizing indigenous methods. Recently, there's been a strong push towards applied and indigenous psychology, where traditional wisdom, like meditation and stress management, is integrated with modern experimental techniques. This fusion aims to develop models that are more relevant and effective within the Indian cultural setting. Moving to indigenous and cross-cultural perspectives, Indian psychology uniquely blends universal behavioral principles with cultural relevance. It recognizes that spiritual, moral, and social dimensions are integral to understanding human life, alongside scientific analysis. Modern Indian psychologists are advocating for a balanced integration of Eastern and Western viewpoints, fostering a holistic understanding of the mind and behavior. This approach not only enriches our understanding, but also ensures that psychological practices are culturally sensitive and practically applicable, ultimately contributing to the broader goal of understanding the human experience in all its diversity. Let's now turn our attention to psychology in India, focusing on both traditional and modern perspectives. Indian psychologists have made significant contributions across various areas of research and application. For example, they have explored perception, cognition, intelligence, and emotion, which are fundamental aspects of understanding the human mind. Additionally, studies in personality, learning, and motivation have provided deeper insights into human behavior. Clinical and counseling psychology also play a crucial role in addressing mental health issues across the country. In recent times, there's been a noticeable shift towards applied and indigenous psychology. This means integrating traditional wisdom, like meditation and stress management techniques, with modern experimental methods. As a result, research now often centers on Indian models of personality, stress, and overall well-being, highlighting the importance of cultural context in psychological practice. Moving on to indigenous and cross-cultural perspectives, Indian psychology uniquely blends universal principles of behavior with cultural relevance. It values not only scientific analysis, but also spiritual, moral, and social dimensions of human life. Today's Indian psychologists are actively working towards integrating Eastern and Western perspectives, which helps develop a more holistic understanding of the mind and behavior. Finally, psychology in India today is thriving across major universities and institutes like Delhi University, IITs, and NIMHANS. Indian psychology is gaining global recognition, especially in fields such as yoga psychology, health psychology, and organizational behavior. The discipline continues to evolve, with a strong emphasis on mental health, education, and social development, reflecting its vital role in shaping a healthier society. Let's wrap up with some key takeaways from this unit. First, we looked at psychology as a science. Essentially, psychology is the scientific study of human and animal behavior, especially how they relate to their environment. It aims to describe, explain, predict, and even modify behavior through careful observation and experimentation. What's important to remember is that psychology connects our mental processes, like thinking, emotions, and motivation, with observable actions. Moving on to the nature and scope of psychology, it has both basic and applied branches. Basic psychology is all about understanding the fundamental principles of behavior, while applied psychology takes those principles and uses them to solve real-world problems in areas like education, health, and organizations. We also saw that psychology covers two major dimensions: general psychology, which looks at common behavioral principles, and differential psychology, which focuses on individual differences, what makes each person unique. Finally, I want to highlight how psychology relates to other sciences. It's closely connected with biological, medical, physical, and social sciences. It borrows methods from the natural sciences and, in turn, provides insights that benefit fields like sociology, economics, and management. This interdisciplinary approach makes psychology a truly transactional science, helping us tackle complex human and environmental issues. So, in essence, psychology is both a scientific and practical discipline that bridges various fields to deepen our understanding of human behavior. Let's wrap up with some key takeaways from this unit. Psychology, as introduced here, is a broad and dynamic science that studies behavior and mental processes. We've explored its major subfields, including biopsychology, cognitive, cultural, experimental, and gender psychology, which form the scientific foundations of the discipline. Then, we looked at behavioral areas like learning, personality, sensation and perception, and physiological psychology, areas that help us understand how we act and interpret the world around us. We also examined applied fields such as social, clinical, community, consumer, and counseling psychology, which focus on real-world issues and improving lives. In addition, specialized fields like educational, industrial and organizational, medical, forensic, military, and ergonomics expand the reach of psychology into various sectors. Emerging fields such as environmental, sports, positive, and cyber psychology show how the discipline continues to evolve with societal changes and technological advances. Turning to India, we saw that Indian psychology has deep roots in ancient philosophies like Vedic, yogic, and Buddhist traditions. Modern psychology in India started at Calcutta University in 1916 and has since grown across the country. Today, research integrates traditional Indian thought with scientific methods, focusing on mental health, education, and overall well-being. Reflecting on the essence of this unit, psychology is a comprehensive and ever-evolving science of behavior that connects theory with practical application. It plays a vital role in personal growth, fostering social harmony, and contributing to national progress through ongoing research and practice. The scope of psychology keeps expanding, linking individual, societal, and global well-being by deepening our understanding of human nature. And to summarize the key takeaway, psychology today is a multidisciplinary, empirical, and human-centered science. It combines biological, social, and cultural perspectives to enhance individual lives and promote collective human welfare. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you found the content valuable and inspiring. If you enjoyed what you saw today, please don't forget to give a thumbs up to show your support, and hit the bell subscribe button so you never miss out on more amazing videos from us. Remember, this is all about sharing knowledge and helping each other grow. A big shout out to the team at Sapphire for making this possible. Thanks again for being with us, and we look forward to bringing you more great content soon.